With around 6,000 plant species, over half of these endemic, and 100 endemic vertebrates, Southwest Australia is one of the most diverse and oldest landscapes in the world, reflecting a unique geological history. Recognised as one of the top 25 global biodiversity hotspots, it has the highest concentration of rare and threatened species in Australia. Defined by a line across Western Australia, from Shark Bay on the west coast to Israelite Bay on the south coast, the Southwest Australia Ecoregion is surrounded on its western and southern sides by the Indian and Southern Oceans. Dr. Steve Hopper is a botanist and conservation biologist of international standing.
Southwestern Australia is globally unique as a landscape in the sense that it's wonderfully flat with relatively few mountains. And the reason for that is that about 300 million years ago it was covered in several kilometres of ice, as was most of Gondwana when all the southern continents were joined together, and it was just eroded dead flat over 50 million years, having this tremendous weight of ice on top of the landscape. The difference then between southwestern Australia and most other places on Earth is that no subsequent mountain building occurred except for the Stirling Range. So what we see here, this beautifully subdued terrain, is a 300-year-old landscape we're looking at. On top of that, the ocean hasn't come in over the top of this flat plateau, except on the coastal margins. And so if you're an organism that likes living on dry land, there's been 300 million years for continuous evolution. What that does is, if you have that duration of continuous existence, rainfall just hits the soil and leaches the nutrients out of the high parts of the landscape, if you can call them that, and washes them down under the broad valleys and out into the ocean. You end up with highly sandy, relatively nutrient-poor soils. And the flora here and the fauna have adapted to this relative sterility of the soil in just fantastic ways. And we have one of the richest floras on Earth. It's Australia's only representative of the 25 global biodiversity hotspots. For that reason, there's 8,000 species of plants we estimate. 3/4 of them you won't see anywhere else, found nowhere else on Earth. So it's just stunningly exciting as a botanist. You can just wander from hilltop to hilltop and see completely different floras. It's estimated that between 10 and 30% of the flowering plants still have to be named by botanists, let alone understand their biology and how they fit in this landscape and how they work with the animals and fire and all those other wonderful environmental questions that arise. So it's just stunning. Given the tremendous richness of floristic biodiversity that Perth has, it is one of the richest cities on Earth. 1,500 plant species within the metropolitan confines, and also tremendously rich in reptiles, in things like sand-swimming lizards and the like. Well, some very recent work has shown unequivocally that Perth is equal in richness to the Stirling Range, to the Fitzgerald River, to Mount Lejeune. And it hasn't been literally until the last few months that we've made this discovery and insight, and it has obviously major implications in terms of bioregional planning and strategic spending of the conservation dollar.